Hello divas, dudes, and dolls, I'm Kara Couture, and welcome back to my sickly, sugar, and sweet little review show, Very Slay, where we go over each and every main stage runway look on Drag Race Down Under Season 4. This week was Snatch Game, and I did not think it was particularly all that great. It was a marked improvement from the first 3 seasons, in my opinion. Let's get into these looks today, because on the runway, it was one of my favorite themes for clothing design: desserts. I love designing things based off of sweets. I was a Candyland child through and through. It's still like aesthetically one of my favorite things in the world. So I love looks based around candies and desserts and sweets and confectionaries. So this runway was, pun intended, a real treat. Now when we get into these looks, if I thought the queen met the brief, got the job done, but didn't do anything overly amazing, we give it an okay. If I absolutely adored it and it gave me a cavity, we give it a slay. And if it simply just left a bitter taste in my mouth, we give it an A. And that's all in efforts to find my weekly slay of the day, my favorite look of the entire episode. Whichever look holds that top spot will go head to head against Lazy Susan's Floral Fantasy from episode 1. And whichever look holds out that top spot at the end of the season, I'm gonna be doing a lovely little illustration of that at some point. And that illustration can be found over on my Patreon. And sneak peeks of that illustration, early access, everything else can be found over there, starting at the $3 tier level. And if you want episode discussion posts, there will be one covering every episode of Drag TV this week that you can find over there as well by joining as a free member. But all of the support helps so much in keeping the content coming. And as always, if you want to support for free and keep even more Drag Race fashion coverage in your subscription feeds, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all those lovely little things. We are pushing to get to 1,000 subscribers. I was kind of hoping we could maybe get there by the end of the year. I don't think that will happen, but maybe we can get there by like February or March, maybe. But obviously the sooner the better. So please do consider hitting that button and helping us get to that little next milestone. With all of that out of the way, let's get into all of these looks. First up on the runway this week, we have Vibe, who is giving me very Alcremie vibes. If she was a Pokemon trainer, she would have an Alcremie. I mean, there is gonna be like a Pokemon drag series coming to the channel at some point next year, and Vibe might be one of the queens I do, solely because I could already structure a look around this very easily. I love the little dollops of like the whipped cream. I love the way that's handled. I love how elegant this look was too. The little cherries in the hair, the encrusted lip to match the cherries as well. Really sleek, really well done. And normally I wouldn't like a skirt with the fabric treatment that's done the way it is, because it does kind of give me like barnacles a little bit, but I don't mind it because I understand the reference and I get like what it's going for. And I think it reads as whipped cream because of everything else. So it's a slay for me. Then up next we have Max, drag queen, who did something kind of similar, Berries and Cream Diva. It's a little 2-piece bikini. I think it's incredibly safe. I did not really find it an incredibly, overwhelmingly gorgeous silhouette. I think as good as it is really plain and really simple for my liking, so I'm gonna give her just an okay this week. Up next, we have Freya Armani, who's giving us a chocolate-dipped churro fantasy here. I loved the way that the skirt is handled here, because the little flip up that this has, I think works really, really well. I think it is gorgeous. I think it creates a really dynamic shape, and it hits in the right spot on the leg to keep proportions really balanced. Color looks gorgeous on her. I love the fabric treatment for the chocolate bit and how like the leather or vinyl or whatever she used for this, the way it shines on the runway, it makes it look really wet, really glossy, really reads as chocolate. And I think cohesively this is her best look so far, aside from her gold look. I was a big fan. It's a slay. Up next we have Lazy Susan, who came out dressed as, you guessed it, a Lazy Susan, complete with all kinds of desserts and treats and things stacked on there. The way her brain works is so fun to me. The only thing I don't like about it is the bottom, because it is quite literally a white tight with a little ruffle and then a panty with a little cherry right at the hoo-ha. I think the bottom of the look is a complete afterthought because the top of the look is so dynamic. Had this all been like the wooden material and had that kind of texture to it or that color, even if the panty had been like that with the little tights being the same, I don't think I would have minded that as much. I just think that it looks so unfinished once you get past the Lazy Susan of it. I think there's a really great idea here that could have been brought even further to make it even better. I think I'm gonna give it a soft slay. Up next, we have Carnivore, who we had to say goodbye to this week, and she is giving us a Filipino treat that her grandmother made her growing up. That's essentially a coconut donut that is covered in sugar. I think the hair is the coolest part of this. I love that braided twist, that effect, and the encrusted sugar detailing in the hair is really, really well done. Even the way the sugar encrusted idea is brought down into the makeup, I think is really smart. I liked the boa. I liked the big part of it around her neck, but what I didn't like was the dress underneath. I think the Nude Illusion is a complete wrong color, so it's really jarring on the eye. The look underneath was kind of an afterthought, and I think had she just gotten rid of the one around the neck and just done the boa, I think it might have been a little more successful. I'm gonna give it an okay. Up next, we have Nikita Iman, who's doing a little orange chocolate chip ice cream fantasy here, and she took it more in a fashion direction than like literal food, which I think is a valid take. But when you do something like that, you have to use the costuming and the textile work to say something about the concept. But there's a way to do this concept and really have the idea of the flavoring come through visually. And I don't think it totally does that here. I don't mind it. I think it is a gorgeous color on her. I think she sold it really well. I like the idea of the brown bows to be the chocolate in this look. This week, I think for her, I was just whelmed, so I'm gonna give it an okay. Then we have our challenge winner this week, Brenda Brest, who gave us a Buffalo Bill moment, which is iconic Australian snackage. I think this worked so well. She really took it all the way to the next level, and there's something about her aesthetic. She's done cowboy stuff a couple of times. Her promo look is very Dolly Parton, but she's going back to the country with this one. I think this is just sheer stupidity at its best. The only thing I don't like is the hair color. I wish she would have done the yellow, so that way it would have like matched the mustache. I just think that that would have come through a little bit better, and it would have been an overall stronger presentation, but this is still a wonderful idea. It's very camp, it's very silly, it's very stupid, and I love it. It's a slay. Then we have Mandy Moves, who I've been waiting for her to really crack out an impressive design of hers, and this week she absolutely knocked it out of the park. All the different shapes, the blocking of it all, I think it really does read as that like conglomeration of a bunch of different patterns and shapes, and it works really well here. And I think this is crafted really well. It's composed really well. It's a fun aesthetic. I enjoy it a lot. I think the colors look great. While it doesn't necessarily immediately give me like smack in the face dessert like Brenda or Vibe or really anyone else up to this point, I think what she did is what Nikita was trying to go for, and that she does have the essence of her concept spaces, but it's done in a more fashion-y, like clothing first way versus a literal take. So I think this is her best look so far in the competition. I thought it was a home run for her. It's a slay. And then finally we have Lucina Innocence, who's giving us this syrupy pancake moment. I think it's an idea I've kind of seen before other places, especially like within the paper drag community. This like giant pancake hat with the dripping syrup. I like the bodysuit, but the syrupy bits, I wasn't crazy about. I just think that's the wrong fabric choice. I just think that it's the wrong texture to give syrup. It's just like sparkly gold. She looks incredible. I love her makeup. I loved what she was going for. And I think it could have worked, but for me, there's just a few things about this that don't really go all the way where I would like it to. So it's gonna be just an okay for me this week. And now it's time to pick my slay of the day, my favorite look of the whole episode. And I think as a Pokemon girly, I have to give it to Vibe. I loved this look so much. And to be honest, I think it officially unseats Lazy Susan's purple fantasy for our slay of the season. I don't know how long it will last because it is a very simple look. We'll see what her chances are next week when we are down to our top 8 and we go into our first design challenge of the season. Be sure y'all to like, comment, subscribe, all those lovely little things. As always, go on out there, stay kind, stay queer, and make sure that your day is very slay.